This is about to be a really fun video. Today, you can see behind me, we're doing another paper plate test. If you haven't seen one of our paper plate tests, what we do is we compare different rounds, shooting them into the paper plates, essentially poor man's ballistics gel, and seeing which rounds go the furthest and which rounds stop the soonest. Today we're comparing Magnum pistols, 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, and the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Let's take a look at the bullets and the guns, get some shooting here on the paper plates. Here are the rounds that we're shooting against the paper plates today. In the 357 we have a 150 grain bullet. In the 44 Magnum we have a 240 grain bullet. And then in the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum we have a 400 grain bullet. On the table we have set up 1,300 paper plates. Let's go take a look at the guns quick. Here on the table in front of me, you can see we have a 357 Magnum revolver. We have a 44 Magnum revolver. And then we have the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum revolver. This is about to be a whole lot of fun, but I'll tell you what, this would just be too plain boring. Let's mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of this and tell you what, instead of that 357 revolver, why don't we pull this baby out? This is a Kunin 357 Magnum 1911. That's enough yapping. Let's go shoot these guns. We're gonna go 357, 44, 500. I don't even know if that's enough plates. 1,300 plates, it might not stop any of these, but we're about to find out. Let's go do some shooting. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. I got all the cameras rolling. We're gonna start 357 Magnum with the Kunin. Then we're gonna go to the 44 Magnum. Then we're gonna go to the 500 Magnum. I'm gonna keep the cameras rolling. Then we'll come back and check out the paper plates. First shot is with this Kunin 357 Magnum with the 150 grain bullet. Let's see what it does to the plates here. All right, there's the first shot. Kunin 357 Magnum. It's a good shooter. We're gonna have to shoot this baby some more. Let's go on to the 44 Magnum. All right, now we've got the Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum with the 250 grain bullet. No, 240 grain bullet, I think. Let's take this shot on the plates and see what happens. Not too bad, not too bad. Definitely can feel the 44 Magnum in your wrist there. But let's take it one more step higher to the 500 Magnum. See what that does against these paper plates. Honestly, I think I might go through all the plates and knock that back cinder block off, but let's see what happens. All right, now we got the Smith & Wesson 500 with those 400 grain bullets. Ooh, baby. Let's take this shot and see what happens. Gotta love shooting these big revolvers. The 500 Magnum and the 50 AE, they're really not as bad as you might think. They're intimidating to look at and they definitely do kick, but they're really not as bad as you might think. All right, so I went back and looked at the boxes just to make sure we're all on the same page. The 357, 150 grain, the 44 Magnum, 240 grain, and the 500 Magnum is a 400 grain bullet. Let's start taking these apart, see if we can find those bullets. Remember, we went from top to bottom. So 357, then 44, then 500. I'm gonna loosen this a little bit. And let's start taking these back. So, interesting. Honestly, I thought the 500 Magnum was gonna go all the way out the back, but it didn't. These are some tough paper plates. Shout out to Sam's Club. But we're still going there. We'll run through these quick until we get to the first bullet. Still going, still going, still going. So, if you haven't seen any of these paper plate tests yet, paper plates are actually pretty dense when you mash them all together, and they'll stop a bullet real quick. So we're getting somewhere. All right, so right there, that's probably about halfway, we have the very first crack there. I'll make sure I don't drop the bullet. See how the plate's cracked there? That is in the bottom. Not very surprising. The 500 Magnum went the furthest. Let's see if I can dig this bullet out here. Ooh, nasty. Oh, look at this. Look at that. That's that 400 grain Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum bullet. Pretty gnarly how it deformed there. These are lead soft tips, just like the other Magnums. But let's set that to the side and see if we can find that 44 Magnum. I don't know how far we're gonna have to go. Right here you can see the center of the plates is now cracked. So that's what we're gonna call it for the 44 Magnum. Let's see if I can dig that bullet out. Sometimes these paper plates will disintegrate these lead tip bullets. But, oh, and right there's the 357, so let me do it like that. Here's a quick look. All of these plates is the 500 Magnum. Then the 44 went through these, and then the 357 Magnum stopped right there. So let me stop and see if I can dig these bullets out and count these, then I'll come right back to you. All right, so I counted the plates. Again, all three of these steps is how many plates it took to stop the 500. Then it took that many plates to stop the 44, and then only that many plates to stop the 357. So only this much difference of plates between the 357 and the 44 Magnum. But let's take a look at the bullets and the number of plates that I counted up here. I wrote it down here. The 500 went through 736 plates, the 44 592 plates, and the 357 through 547 plates. And take a look at those bullets. Both the 44 and the 357 Magnum, the lead came out of the casing there. But for the 500, that whole thing stayed intact. But pretty cool that we caught all those bullets. I honestly thought that that 500 Magnum was going to go through all the plates. That is a big old bullet, 400 grains. But it didn't. It only went through 700 some odd plates. So I'm always wrong. What else is new? Thanks for watching today's video, guys. A big thanks to my buddy Jeff, and a huge shout out and thanks to Heavy Metal Guns and Outdoors. Everybody go over to Heavy Metal Guns and Outdoors page and tell them hello and tell them I sent you. Don't forget to subscribe to the WHOTEEWHO channel if you haven't already. Check out all the links in the description down below. Stay tuned for the next one, guys. WHOTEEWHO!